when installing the power supply into an Acromatic 2100 control. There's a switch between the two power connectors here that's got 230 volts or 110 volt. We want to make sure in every Cincinnati Acromatic control that it's set to 230 volts. When it leaves our shop here, they're always set to 230, but you want to make sure that you verify that they are at 230 and do not change it to 110 volt. This will burn up the power supply. So that's it with the good luck with changing the power supply. Okay, what we're going to do today is change the power supply out of an Acromatic 2100 control. So you first start by opening the back cabinet door, finding the actual 2100 control. We're going to have a cable plugged into this connector here, and we're also going to have plugs going into the top of the power supply. A plug here and possibly a plug here depending on your model and machine. You'll have at least one connector. There's going to be multiple connectors plugged in along the top. This is what we call the workstation CPU board. And we'll have to remove all these connectors, and as you can see, they're all labeled what they are. So you check your cable as you unplug them and make sure that they also are labeled so you can't put them back in the wrong spot. So we start by popping this connector off, which will be your floppy disk drive cable. Remove this cover. Remove your hard drive. Your hard drive configuration also might be a bit different. Remove the ribbon cable and the power cable. All these are keyed. They'll only go back one way, so you can't get these wrong. Be very gentle with the hard drive. Set it off to the side. Next, we're going to remove the workstation board. We've already unplugged everything along the top of the workstation. There's a thumb screw down at the bottom and one at the very top. We're going to release these thumb screws. And now, board hinges to the left. So once these thumb screws are removed, we just merely push the board off to the side and you can feel it unplug. And then we're going to gently work the board out. It's going to rub on the back here of what we call the bridge board, the basic bridge boards in the back. Gently move it out, and I don't know if we can see in our video here, there's a small cable, small ribbon cable down at the bottom right here that goes from the workstation CPU board to the bridge board. On this particular one, there's a little clip to hold it in place. You just release those clips and it unplugs. If yours is an older version, you want to make sure 100%, very, very important, that you plug this connector, this ribbon cable, when we go back together with it. This is the one real critical connector. In this case, on the newer systems, it's keyed and it will only go one way. On an older system, we don't have this keyed plug connector on the back side, and we've got to be 100% certain that you see how it comes off and it goes back on exactly the same way. This connector on those older systems will be right up against the tip. Look at it before you unplug it. Verify exactly the way that it comes off. This is the most critical portion or part of changing this power supply. So I can't stress that enough. Once that's unplugged, then we're just going to gently work the board out. And these are our two power supply connections. Okay, so we unplug our two power cables coming from the power supply, and you'll notice it's hard or impossible to see in this video. They're labeled P8 and P9. P8 will be on the top, P9 will go on the bottom. The other easy way to tell that you've got them in correctly when you're putting it back together is the two cables have the black wires will be side by side, butted together when the connectors are plugged in the board, and the reds will be on the far ends of each other. That's the easiest way you can tell you got it right. So you remove this workstation CPU board. It's not connected to anything. Carefully set it aside so we don't zap it. Now our power supply is exposed. We just loosen up the 4 screws on the top. There's elongated holes for 3 of them. like this, and then the fourth screw in the very back corner, which might be difficult to get to in the machine, needs to be totally removed. And once we've released all of them, just slide the power supply forward, remove the power supply, this is all you have, and to install the new one, put 3 of the screws back in the power supply, install it back into the cage, and we're going to reverse the process of the installation. We're going to put the ribbon cables from the workstation board back in the back, make sure the small cable's sticking forward, very gently kind of line everything up, get all these cables out of the way, with the exception of the P8 and P9. With P8 and P9 exposed, we plug them back in, P8 on the top, P9 on the bottom. And gently, carefully kind of work this back in there. You can see the two pins on the back side. Then gently, a little finesse, you can work this back in, it pops in, and you'll see this side connector where it plugs back in. And don't forget the small ribbon cable, and again, I can't stress it enough that this needs to be set in here correctly. In this particular model, it's keyed, so I can pop right in and it'll click right into place. Set the board, put my hard drive back in, and again, the power cable for the hard drive. There's different connectors, they're all keyed, and that's it. That's all there is to it.